Welcome to 12 Days of Crochet Ornaments. Today we're going to be making this little winter hat ornament. You are going to need your yarn of choice, some scissors, some measuring tape, a needle for sewing things up, and a 5mm hook. It is also nice to have two different colors of yarn so you can do a contrasting little bauble for the top of your hat. So we are going to get this one started with a slip knot, and then we are going to make 21 chains. So we have 20 working stitches. So we are going to first start with a row of single crochet. So that's going to be 20 single crochet in a row. So for the next row and every row following, you are going to work on the back loop. And all that is you can see your little V of stitches here. You're just going to grab the back one and single crochet that. And that's what's going to kind of give you your stretchy ribbed texture. So again, it's back row or back loop all the way down. Just doing single crochets. So that's what it looks like after your first row. And like I said, you're just going to continue on in that same fashion, single crocheting the back loops for every single row until you get to 6 inches of crochet. And there we are at 6 inches. And so what I'm going to do next is we are going to single crochet it closed, just because it's one less thing to sew. So you are going to match end to end like this. So your ribbing goes like this. And you are just going to single crochet these 2 rows together. And this is going to be inside, so it doesn't have to be the most neat thing ever if you've never done this. But you just kind of want to match your loops up, because you should have 20 on either side. Again, if they're not perfectly matched, don't worry about it, because no one's going to see this part. This is just between you and your crochet. So just stick your hook through one loop, and then on the other side, the other loop, pull through a loop, yarn over and pull through, and work all the way down doing that. And then before you cut it, leave yourself a nice long tail for closing up the top of your hat. So we have our nice long tail on a darning needle, and I'm just going to weave in and out of this row, and then we're going to pull it closed like a drawstring, and that's going to close up the top of our hat. Try and stick with like the upper row here, just so you get as much hat as possible. You really don't need a giant seam at the top. You can see you can kind of pull it as you go. So I went all the way around and pulled it closed tight. And just to make sure it's super secure, after I pull it closed tight, I'm going to work a couple of stitches just through that way. And then in the other direction. And then probably one over here. And I have a nice tight close. And so what you're going to do is weave both these ends in. And now you can just flip it inside out and roll up your edge a little bit. And there's your hat. And you could theoretically stop here, but we do love a bauble on top of a hat, don't we? So grab your contrasting yarn. Again, you could use the same one, but I think a pop of color on the top is nice. I'm going to be using my fingers, but you could absolutely use a piece of cardboard instead. So all I'm going to do is leave myself a little tail out here, and then I'm going to just wrap around my fingers many, many, many times, because we want a nice fat bauble. All right, so we have the nice fat bauble built up here, and then I like to do this. I like to take my crochet hook, pull my string between my fingers, and kind of wrap it around. And then once you feel like you've got it so it's not going to completely fall apart, you can wiggle it off your fingers, trying not to totally unravel the entire thing. Again, you can use a piece of cardboard if this feels like a little bit much for you. And then I'm just going to take the piece that's still attached to my ball of yarn and wrap it around tight, and then pull this and tie these off tight, 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 tight. I'm going to leave myself a little tail and cut this so it's easier to tie it. You want it to be super tight so that your yarn doesn't come out. It's an ornament hat, so it's probably not going to get too much throwing around, but still. Tight, tight, tight. So I've double knotted it so it's as secure as I can make it. And now we're going to take our scissors and start just cutting at either side to kind of release all your pieces. And you probably have to cut through a few layers if you're like me and you wanted the fattest bobble ever. All of my pieces pretty much cut, and now what you're gonna do is take this over a trash can and you can kind of trim it up and make it into a more of a neat circle. Do it over a trash can because obviously there's gonna be lots of little bits and you don't want to be cleaning those up off of your workstation. So now that my pom-pom has gotten a haircut, we're ready to put it into the hat. I'm going to use a slightly smaller crochet hook to do that. So you're going to take your crochet hook, go inside of your hat, and pull down a string. This is why we left our 2 long strings. And then go on the kind of the other side of your closing, grab the other string and pull it down. And then you can secure these weave-in ends, etc. Even just tie it with a bow if you're feeling lazy. And now you're ready to put it on your tree, or if you're anything like me, immediately onto your cat's head for a really funny photo.